Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast, West Denver. Here's a quick message from our sponsor, Local Works Wheat Ridge, provided by its Executive Director, Paige Piper.
Local Works is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to make Wheat Ridge a more vibrant and sustainable place to live and work. Our mission and action is programming that provides neighborhood revitalization and small business support, keeping and growing the businesses we know and love in Wheat Ridge. In simpler form, we provide connection. Connection to business, connection to community.
This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Meg Smith.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast, West Denver. Today, I'm here with Jennifer Erwin of Jennifer Erwin Coaching. How are you today, Jennifer?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for spending some time with me here on the podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about Jennifer Erwin Coaching.
Yeah, so I think a lot of us, this is definitely the struggle for me. And I think a lot of us understand this as whether you're a working mom or you know a working mom, the struggle that a lot of people, but a lot of working moms have with balancing a career outside the home while also juggling all those household and parenting, both joys and responsibilities, and how this can create just a lot of stress and overwhelm and guilt. And to top it off, a lot of us are really hard on ourselves and feeling like we can't seem to get it all together. And so through my work as a coach, working one-on-one with clients, I support working moms really co-create a plan that supports them in prioritizing things that make it possible to strike that right balance between work and home, and also carve out some time and space for themselves so they're rejuvenated and feel like their sense of self is restored. And I do this all through the lens of how to become our own best friends in the process, because that key piece of how we're so hard on ourselves is really the shift that makes the shift happen.
Excellent. Yeah, it's mindset.
Yeah, so much of it is mindset.
Yeah, I love it. So how did you get into this business?
Yeah, so I think I've always been a coach and I didn't know it. Even like when I was in middle school and high school, I was the one that my friends would come to, and not for advice, but just like a listening ear. And they'd always say, I just feel so much better after I like get off the phone with you and whatever. I didn't know it at the time, but I was always into personal growth, even at a really young age, like middle school and high school. But I actually was, in my former work life, I was a teacher. So I was super passionate about that. And I also got really burned out. So about 10 years ago, I decided I needed to leave, which was really hard because I loved so many aspects. I was an elementary school teacher. I just had been working with kids my whole life. And I loved so many aspects of it. And a lot of my identity was wrapped up in it. But that last year of teaching, I just really did the inner work and dug deep and realized I needed to at least step back and kind of reevaluate and explore maybe some other options. Maybe I would return back to teaching, but that was kind of, I knew I needed some space. And I was going to take a year off and just really explore those options and, you know, take an easy job. I was not a parent at the time. It was just me and my partner. And of course, you know, the life universe kind of wink was like, I got pregnant like 2.5 months after I left that job. So I spent the next year just figuring out how to become a parent and what that looked like and trying to recalibrate my life there. But I spent the first year of my son's life mostly at home with him. I was doing some stuff on the side, but mostly at home. And so I had some time, you know, endless hours of breastfeeding to think about it. And I started doing some research, and that's when it clicked of like, coaching, life coaching. This is what I do. This is what I love already. This is who I am already. And so I I took a couple classes, and then I just put myself out there. I was like, in that moment when it like clicked, I was like, I'm a coach. I'm going to do coaching. And so I sent out, you know, notices to friends and family and just was like, I'm starting a coaching business. Who wants coaching? And everything has kind of grown from there. I had some people that said yes, and then gave referrals to people once they were helped and felt like they had gotten to that next level in their lives. And so I've been doing that for the past 9 years. So that's kind of what I've
Nice.
been up to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good tenured amount of time.
Yeah. And doing that alongside, like I understand the balance. So it's, had peaks of growth and slow down depending on, I homeschool my son right now. And so there's a lot of juggling that happens, not only am I a parent, but I'm a homeschooler. So I still am teaching
Another
and
job.
I've got my business and, life's full.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting because you are balancing kind of two careers, within and then also motherhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So why do you think folks choose to work with you? There's lots of coaches out there these days. What do you think sets you apart?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I think I always want to name, and this isn't to like poo-poo myself at all, but just there are a lot of good coaches out there. So, and I really am an advocate of coaching. So even if you're like on the fence, I always encourage people like find the support that you need. And there's so many good people out there supporting others. You feel like you need that push, or like look into it and ask for recommendations, because that'll be your best thing. And I think that one reason that my clients get such great results with me and also keep coming back. So I've had clients that I started with like 9 years ago, and we always start with like a kind of more intense coaching package up front, like 3 to 6 months. But then people have the option to just kind of like pop in and out like once a month, jump in and like just keep leveling up for their life. And I've had people that have been with me pretty much since the beginning, which has been such a powerful thing to develop those relationships and stay connected. And I think people keep coming back is because I'm not only really deeply compassionate and a good listener. So I really see you for where you are in your life. And we all need to be seen for where we are in our struggles. Like, so there's such a dearth of that in our world right now. We really need that depth of like, someone gets me, they see where I am, but also to have someone meet you and coach you and champion you to where you could be and like the possibilities for your life. We have so many people in our lives that are, relating to us from who we used to be or who they would like us to be or some imagined idea version of who we should be, but not like where our potential is. And so it's really powerful to have someone who sees where you're already like that in your life, that you're just not giving yourself credit for, because so many of us are amazing and yet we dismiss it. A lot of the women that I work with, I'm like, you're incredible. Look at all the things that you're doing. Like you're doing this, you're taking up this at work. This is how you like sat and listened to your child after they had a hard day. They're amazing. So not only witnessing that, but then being like, okay, I'm going to coach you and relate to you as the person that you're becoming. This is your potential. And I'm going to relate to you in that space. And that's really powerful. And I feel like that, along with really deeply understanding how we're so hard on ourselves and how to relate to those parts of ourselves that we don't like or that we're hard on ourselves about, has really, I think, resonated with a lot of the clients and builds that trust. So people want to keep coming where they stay and they feel that sense of connection and how I get it.
Yeah. And I love that you're relating to them at their potential level, right? Instead of where they are starting potentially, because you always think about the mindset of like the elite athlete, right?
Right.
They have to see themselves on a podium.
Yeah.
And they practice that and they meditate on it and they believe it to be true. Like it already happened.
Right.
So I think that's really important. Yeah. For mindset.
Yeah.
So you had some challenges. We touched on one, which is just, the being burnt out in your prior life. And that kind of launched you into this business. But has there been anything during this business that has been something you had to overcome and has made the business better?
Yeah, I think one challenge that I had, so I was diagnosed, I'm trying to think, like 4 or 5 years ago with thyroid cancer, which is one of those cancers that actually on the range of cancer is better to get, if you get cancer. If you're going to pick one. I've always struggled with my thyroid. I was diagnosed with autoimmune disease early on. Like
I have Hashimoto's.
Hashimoto's. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Every woman I talk to seems to have some, on thyroid hormones or whatever. So I had stuff going on, but I've also, what's ironic is I work with a lot of physician moms in my coaching business. because that's kind of, I had some physician friends when I was starting my business that I started coaching with. But I've actually always been, ever since I was a little kid, really struggled with medical situations where I had a lot of medical stress. That was just something, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fears. And so when I, which of course I've grown in and worked towards, but having thyroid surgery, because that's what they decided needed to happen, is that my whole thyroid needed to be removed. It brought up all of this stuff from my past, all these fears, all these like inner thoughts and barriers of like, oh, how did it make me like blaming myself? Like, what did I do wrong? You know, all of this stuff. But it was, I think, the coaching tools and getting support. Like I really like tried to resource myself with both friends and other people that had gone through this and different tools. Like I did a lot of relaxation and like stress mitigating tools around surgery and really advocated for myself. That was another area where I was really growing. Like, how do I advocate for myself in a medical situation where I sometimes feel really anxious? And I still have that child part that comes out where I'm like, oh yeah, you're the doctor, you know. But how to like kind of level up. And that was such a, it's one of those situations that we all have in our lives where you're like, I'm grateful I went through it. I still wish that I didn't have to have gone through it. And yet it really brought me to a different level within myself and how I relate to things, and gave me more tools, and also just like a continued deeper understanding of like how we can relate to these like parts of ourselves that are still, you know, operating out of childhood and these old fears, but how do we like relate to them from our like resourced adult self, and how do we kind of keep moving towards that? And that's really helped my coaching business in terms of just adding that kind of depth and layer. And also through that process, I had a lot of compassion and understanding for the doctors in the situation. And so again, it like just added a level of the doctors that I relate to, who are all amazing physicians and like really care about their patients. And have that too in the back of my head of like, oh yeah, I know that I've been inside these doctors' brains, and I know they really care, and I know they're doing their best. And so that kind of helped me too. So the coaching business helped me in that way. And then it's also fed into my coaching business.
Excellent. Yeah. So it's all good reminders, right? Of things that we don't necessarily expect to bubble up.
Exactly.
Our day. Yeah. So that's important. So do you have any like seasonal things that are happening in the business that you want to share with our audience?
Not anything at the moment. I'm always open for the one-on-one clients, people who want that specialized help. And I'm also, alongside being a coach, I couldn't let my teaching go. I'm a teacher still at heart in a lot of ways. And so I'm also a mindful self-compassion teacher. So that's really kind of focused on how do we become kinder to ourselves? How do we show up as our own best friends? And so I know this fall I'll be running some of those classes that are more targeted towards, if you just know that you're hard on yourself, or you know that that's something that's like holding you back from really kind of getting to that next level. That'll be something that I'll have probably in late August or September coming up.
Cool. Well, excellent. So folks can get in touch with you. We'll just go into that right now in case they want more information about that. What's the best way to get in touch with you if they'd like to learn more?
Yeah, of course. I always love hearing from people. My website's the best way to contact me. So it's really simple. It's just jennifererwincoaching.com. And on there, you know, you can send a form to contact me. And I also, if you have those inner characters that are creating stress, I have a free quiz on there that kind of just helps you understand maybe which character is maybe causing the most stress for you, whether it's, you know, the perfectionist or the worrier or whatever it is that might be kind of within your own mindset that's creating a little bit of that extra drama.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we've all got plenty of those characters.
Yeah, sometimes many.
So how do you get involved with the community, through the business or just personally?
Yeah. So I feel like I have partly because there's so many physicians. I love, back when I was getting my mindful self-compassion certificate, I worked with a lot of the doctors who are also in academic medicine and Anschwitz, the medical school, and have some connections there and really enjoy giving back and like offering, because a lot of people in healthcare and specifically physicians like can be really hard on themselves. And so it's not something that's really taught or seen. And so that's one of the ways that I love kind of connecting with people and offering that tool. I also am involved a lot in different homeschooling groups and getting out and really trying to get my son connected and also just stay out in nature and, you know, clean up the parks and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so when you're not working or volunteering or doing some of those other activities, what are you doing for fun?
This summer, we are trying to get to more of the state parks because we have, you know, how now we have the license plate where you can get the state park pass. And so that's been fun. We like to go up to Staunton State Park, which is just outside of Conifer, but we're going this weekend down to Castlewood Canyon, which is a park I haven't been to yet, and going on a hike. And so we're doing some outdoor things. And also my son and I, we both love to read, and we've been doing some audiobooks together. So we've been listening to this series. It's about a wizard. His name's Septimus Heap, and it's like a 7-book series. And it's been really fun to just have. It's one I read, I think back when I was a teacher. Another student loved it. And so I picked it up and of course couldn't put it back down. And now my son's old enough that I am able to kind of listen and share that with him. And so that's been fun to just introduce some, you know, middle grade books together that we both enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's so fun. And it's been so nice to get to know you. I appreciate all the work that you're doing as a working mom. Because we need all the support we can get, and the camaraderie and the understanding and the grace.
Yes, we do. I feel like it is. It's hard. Yeah. And together it can be less hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. We need more of that, you know, old village mentality, right?
Yeah. I definitely feel that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been good to get to know you. And thanks for spending some time with me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate this podcast and the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwestdenver.com. That's gnpwestdenver.com or call 720-295-9588.